Dear viewers, Mr. Pravin Sawhnney in his latest video talks about how after Operation Sindoor, the Pakistani military is now ahead of the Indian military and better prepared for the next war. He explained this through something called the operational level of war, which is basically the middle ground between tactics on the front line and strategy at the top, where political and military leadership connect. Mr. Sawhney says Pakistan has recognized this operational level and now is building the capabilities and structure to actually use it. As proof, he mentions the Pakistan Army is setting up a new rocket force command which will work alongside the Pakistan Air Force at this operational level. So in this video, we're going to listen to what Mr. Pravin Swaney says, break down each of his main points and understand what he really means by them. Let's listen into him.
Its electronic warfare capabilities. Next, we got to know that in August 2021, under the Pakistan Air Force, an organization was created with help from the PLA called the CENT-AIC, which is the Center for Artificial Intelligence and Computing. Now, the very fact it was under the Pakistan Air Force was proof that in the next war, Pakistan Air Force and not the Pakistan Army will be the lead service. And then we got to know that at the CENT-AIC, the first project at hand will be cognitive electronic warfare, which is artificial intelligence and electronic warfare, taking electronic warfare to a higher level, to an advanced level. Sorry. Next, in January 2022, Pakistan released its national security policy. On that occasion, the Army Chief General Bajwa said that all the three services of the Pakistan military will have cyber capabilities and organizations for that. It stands to reason if this is what happened in 2022, then another project at CENT-AIC would be artificial intelligence and cyber, taking it to an advanced level. And this becomes a deadly combination, AI and electronic warfare, because anybody who understands modern warfare knows the importance of CEMA. CEMA is CEMA, which is cyber and electromagnetic activities. Both these virtual domain capabilities, they work together. As far as cyber is concerned, it attacks the data, and electronic warfare, it attacks the electromagnetic waves that carry the data. So these two capabilities are very important. And then we saw the evidence of how good the Pakistan military had become in CEMA, CEMA, during Operation Sindoor.
Now, in this part of his video, Pravin Swaney talks about Pakistan's growing focus on electronic warfare and cyber capabilities. He says that right after the first air-to-air engagement, the Pakistan Air Force actually held a detailed briefing for the international media. In that briefing, a senior officer showed on a digital map how even before Operation Sindoor began, the Pakistan Air Force already had electronic identification of Indian Air Force jets. Mr. Sawhney explained that this highlights Pakistan's strength in electronic intelligence, which he calls the core of electronic warfare. He says that this is now a key part of the Pakistan Air Force digital ecosystem and its concept of multi-domain operations. Finally, Mr. Sawhney suggests that Pakistan will now need stronger capabilities, and that's where China comes in. He claims China is committed to supporting Pakistan's sovereignty and will likely help by providing advanced aircraft such as GF-35 and additional GF-10s. Let's listen what he says in this section.
This is where the Chinese will help Pakistan, because China is committed publicly to support Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity. So rest be assured that the Pakistan Air Force will get the 5th generation J-35 aircraft, and they will also get additional J-10 aircraft. In my assessment, they'll get the PL-17 missile in addition to the PL-15, which they showcased in Operation Sindoor. Then they will get the hypersonic cruise missiles, which will be part of the Rocket Force Command. And I also have no doubts that they will get the SH-15, which is the wheeled self-propelled howitzer of China, which has a 52 caliber and the range of 53 kilometers.
In this part of his video, Mr. Pravin Sawhnney focuses on Pakistan's effort to plug air defense gaps and build up offensive reach at the operational level. He says that Pakistan Air Force is examining shortcomings exposed during the recent engagement, particularly weaknesses when facing India's high-end S-400 system, and that China will likely supply systems such as Chinese HQ-19 to counter the threat. This, he argues, is a part of a broader plan to harden Pakistan's air defense posture. Mr. Sawhney then describes the formation of Army Rocket Force Command and the fielding of longer range as elements of integrated fires concept. These capabilities, he says, will be used in coordinated strikes timed to gain air superiority early in a campaign. So ground operation can follow with reduced risk and to unsettle enemies' defenses at the operational rank so that defenses network lose coherence. In short, the objective is twofold: seize control of the air as quickly as possible to enable follow-on land operations and use deep integrated fires to disrupt the opponent's operational defense arrangement. This is the operational logic Mr. Sawhney attributes to Pakistan's force modernization moves. Now switching to the Indian side, Mr. Sawhney points out public comments by India's senior leadership, including Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, who have acknowledged lessons from the recent clashes and called for improvement. Mr. Chauhan has emphasized the need for better air defense, stronger electronic warfare capabilities, and enhanced ISR plus kinetic reach across the breadth of Pakistan. Two close capabilities gaps identify after Operation Sindoor. Mr. Sawhney views is that Pakistan is moving to operationalize multi-domain tools, air defense modifiers, rockets, long-range fires, and SEMA hardened command links, while India is publicly acknowledging short fields and signaling upgrades in air defense. Now, Mr. Pravin Swaney explained what is happening on the Indian side. Let's listen in to him.
Completely shocked, I was aghast. It is one thing for the enemy to guess what are your shortcomings, your operational gaps. It is quite another for the senior-most officer of the Indian military to actually say publicly what are our shortcomings and what we need to fill. In my assessment, this is nothing short than breach of national security. When the CDS says that we need air defense, electronic warfare, knowing fully well that Operation Sindoor has not ended, it is on pause. Next, he spoke about need for ISR and kinetic capabilities for whole of Pakistan. In other words, what he was saying is, and this is what the enemy would have understood, that the Indian military is not ready for a full-scale war, period. Next, he was asked a question as to how he visualizes the future war obviously between India and Pakistan. And his reply was that earlier the wars, they were more about geography. There was technology, but it was essentially about geography that has been replaced. Now it is more about technology. So the point I am making is that this will not help the next time for the simple reason that the other side is prepared for or is preparing for a full-scale war. So the primacy should not be with the army. Now, another thing that he said, and this was a very important thing, on theaterization. He said, essentially, let me summarize and then I'll explain. What he said was that the old model has failed and now we are starting afresh. This is what he said, but he put it like this. He said that my mandate as the Chief of Defence Staff is theaterization. So his predecessor also, General Bipin Rawat, the CDS office was created. Now we know for the primary job was theaterization. And it was said at that time that it will be done in 3 years. That means Bipin Rawat became the CDS in January 2020. So December 2023, it was to be finished. The theater commands would have been created. It didn't happen. That mandate now has come to General Anil Chauhan.
In this segment, Mr. Sawhney makes 3 link points. First, he insists that Operation Sindoor was a limited coordinated action rather than an all-out war, a discrete campaign that began and ended, and that the after-action lessons should drive organizational change rather than immediate escalation. Secondly, he argues that some operational responsibilities will now be delegated to the service chiefs. His point is, before he debate how future conflicts should be characterized or fought, the service must be given clear operational roles and then empowered to build capabilities to carry those roles out. That means capability building comes first, doctrine label comes later. Third, and more technically, Mr. Sawhney raises the question of where SEMA type capabilities should sit in the command architecture. He says space, cyber, and cognitive tools are currently centered under the CDS in India's structure, but he worries that electronic and electromagnetic effects, the CEMA envelope, diffuses space, electronic and magnetic activity needs an operational home, with the commander who will employ them in campaigns. In his view, these virtual domain capabilities must be tightly integrated with operational commanders so that they can be applied in real time, not locked away in separate staff. He also recalls the recent combined commanders conference in India's eastern theatre, a deliberate signal. He says that India is thinking about the PLA and higher and operational competition, but Mr. Sawhney tells viewers to focus first on Pakistan. Build up operational level SEMA integrated fires against our near-term opponent. Concerns about the PLA and centralization, he adds, that can be explained and debated later. He says he will unpack the PLA point in his next video. That's the gist of his argument, a call for clarified operational roles, capability first, reform and the operational integration of SEMA type effects under commanders. Now, Mr. Sawhney takes over to explain what he means in his practice. Let's listen in to him.
Was also with them in Sindoor, and mind you, Sindoor was not really a war. It was basically a coordinated act which was done, and that was the end of it. It was over in 4 days. But that besides, he said that now we have understood that some sort of a role, operational role, will have to be given to the service chiefs. Well, there you are. The service chiefs need the role. You need to build the capabilities. After that, only talk of the theaterization and the way it looks, and it will be entirely different at a later stage. Next, he spoke about that I have an operational role because space, cyber, and cognitive domains are under me. Well, actually, they shouldn't be under you. To begin with, there is no mention of electronic warfare. I have just explained earlier the importance of CEMA and how these two virtual capabilities have to work together. And then he says, and he also considered that electronic warfare, we are weak and we need to improve this. So, in my assessment, look at CEMA, and this should have a central role. It cannot be with the CDS. It should have an operational role with the operational commander. But I won't go beyond that. I'm sure there are people within the military who will think now on these lines. The last thing, a very important thing he said is that we held recently the Combined Commanders Conference, which for the first time was held in the eastern part of India. And he said we held it there because we wanted to send a message. Message to whom? Are you wanting to send a message to the PLA? Well, what I would like to inform the CDS is that PLA is at the cutting edge of the operational level of war. And what that cutting edge is, I will explain in my next video. But for the time being, what I want to say is, forget about the PLA, focus on Pakistan, and focus on building up operational level of war capabilities. This is important. Theaterization can wait. Thank you so much.
That's the end of today's video. We looked at what Mr. Pravin Swaney had to say about Operation Sindoor, Pakistan defense build-up, and how India is responding. What do you think about his analysis? Let us know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon.